Take a slow breath in and gently let it out. There's nothing you need to do right now, nowhere you need to be, no thoughts you need to hold on to. If you can, allow your eyes to close. Let your body settle exactly as it is. Another slow breath in and out. Feel the surface beneath you, steady, unmoving, supporting your weight without effort. Your shoulders soften, your jaw loosens, your breathing becomes slow and quiet. And as your mind begins to drift, you find yourself somewhere else. You wake before the sun rises. For a moment, everything is still. The air is cool against your skin, a soft, gentle coolness that lingers from the night. You are lying on the ground, the sand beneath you faintly cool, almost smooth, shaped by the quiet wind of the desert. You don't move right away. There is no urgency here, only the slow, steady beginning of another day. In the distance, you hear it, a low, quiet movement, someone shifting in the sand, fabric brushing softly, a slow breath breaking the silence. Others are waking, not all at once, not loudly, just one by one. You open your eyes, slowly. Above you, the sky is still dark, but not completely. A faint, pale light stretches across the horizon. Morning is coming. You take a slow breath in. The air carries the scent of dust, dry earth, and something softer beneath it. The river, the Nile, is close enough to be felt, even if you cannot see it from where you rest. A light breeze moves across your skin, cool, calm, almost comforting. For a moment, you remain still, breathing in and out. Nothing else matters yet. Not the work, not the heat, just this quiet space before the world fully wakes. Around you, more bodies begin to stir. Someone sits up, someone stretches slowly, someone stands and brushes sand from their arms. No one rushes. There is no need. The day will be long, and it always begins like this. You begin to move. Slowly, gently, you sit up, feeling the weight of your body return. Your muscles are heavy, but not in a painful way. It's a familiar heaviness, the kind that comes from doing the same work, day after day, until your body no longer questions it. You place your hands against the ground. The sand is cool beneath your fingers. Grains shift softly as you press down, supporting you as you rise. You stand, slowly. Your feet sink slightly into the sand, still untouched by the sun's heat. That warmth will come soon, but not yet. You take a step forward, then another. Each step unhurried, steady, natural. There is nowhere else to be. No need to rush toward what is waiting. It will still be there. It always is. Ahead of you, in the distance, you begin to see it. First, just a shape, dark against the slowly brightening sky. Then a clearer, larger, the pyramid, rising from the earth, massive, silent, unmoving. It does not call to you. It does not demand. It simply exists. And somehow, that makes everything feel simpler. You walk toward it, slowly. Around you, others are moving too. Quiet figures walking in the same direction, each lost in their own thoughts, or perhaps in no thoughts at all. The sand shifts beneath your feet with each step. A soft, steady rhythm. Step and step. Your breathing matches the movement. In and out, in and out. The sky grows lighter. Soft shades of blue and gold begin to spread across the horizon. The air is still cool, but you can feel the change beginning. The day is coming. You continue walking. No hurry, no resistance, just the quiet understanding of what lies ahead. And with each step, your thoughts begin to slow, not disappearing all at once, just becoming softer, more distant, like echoes, fading into the background. There is only the path ahead, the sound of your breath, the feeling of the ground beneath you, and the steady, silent presence of the pyramid growing closer with every step. You keep walking, and without noticing exactly when it happens, your mind becomes quieter, less crowded, more still. Take another slow breath in, and let it go gently. There is no need to hurry forward. Your steps continue, slow, steady. The sand shifts beneath your feet, soft, familiar, predictable. Step and step, the air is beginning to change. That coolness from the night, still there, but fading little by little. You notice it without thinking about it. Just a quiet awareness. The sky above you grows lighter. Soft gold stretches across the horizon, spreading slowly without effort. You keep walking. There are others around you, but they feel distant, not far away, just separate. Each person moving in the same direction, each step falling into its own rhythm. No one speaks. There is nothing that needs to be said. The silence is not empty. It is full, in a quiet way. You take another breath in and out. Your body begins to warm, not from the sun, not yet, but from movement, from repetition, from the simple act of walking forward. Your shoulders rise slightly with your breath and fall again. Slowly, your arms hang loose by your sides, relaxed, unforced. There is no tension to hold on to, nothing to prepare for, only the path, only the movement. Ahead, the pyramid grows larger, not suddenly, not dramatically, just slowly, steadily, each step bringing you closer, without any effort to measure the distance. You don't think about how far it is, or how long it will take. Those thoughts feel unnecessary. They drift away before they can fully form. Step and step, the ground beneath you becomes slightly firmer. Less soft sand, more packed earth. You feel the difference immediately, subtle but clear. Your feet press down, and the ground holds steady. There is a quiet stability in it, something dependable. The breeze moves past you again, softer now, warmer. It brushes against your skin, carrying the faint scent of dust and stone. You breathe it in without effort and let it go. Your thoughts continue to slow, like ripples in water, settling, smoothing out. There is less to hold on to, less to follow, less to question. You are simply here, walking, breathing, existing within the moment, without needing to change it. The pyramid now stands clearly before you, its surface catching the first light of the rising sun. Soft shadows stretch across the stone, long, a quiet, unmoving, feels ancient, not just old, but constant, as if it has always been here, as if it will always be here. You do not question it. You do not analyze it. You simply see it and continue forward. Around you, the others continue as well. The same slow pace, the same steady rhythm. No urgency, no resistance, just movement. Your breathing deepens, slightly, in and out. Your body begins to find a pattern, a rhythm that feels natural, effortless. Step and breath, everything syncing together without needing your attention. And as this rhythm settles in, your mind follows, becoming quieter, softer, more distant. But they do not stay. They pass through, like a breeze, unnoticed, unimportant. You reach the outer edge of the work grounds. The space opens slightly. The ground is marked by many footsteps, paths worn into the earth over time. You step into one of them without thinking. Your body already knows where to go. It always has. There is comfort in that, not needing to decide, not needing to choose, just following the path that is already there. The sun begins to rise higher now. You can feel its warmth touching your skin. Light at first, gentle, not overwhelming, just a quiet reminder that the day has begun. You slow slightly without realizing it, not from tiredness, but from a kind of calm, a steady acceptance of what is ahead. There is no rush to begin, no pressure building, only the quiet continuation of what has always been. And as you stand there for a brief moment, feeling the ground beneath you, the air around you, the slow rhythm of your breath, everything feels simple, nothing extra, nothing missing, just this. The ground beneath your feet feels different now, firmer, more solid. The soft shifting sand has given way to a surface that has been walked on, pressed down, shaped by countless steps before yours. You notice it not with thought, but with sensation. Your feet settle more evenly. Each step lands and holds. Step and step, you move deeper into the work grounds. The space around you begins to change. The openness of the desert slowly narrows, replaced by structure, by purpose. Large stones rest in the distance, cut-shaped, waiting. You don't stop to look at them for long. You've seen them before, many times, enough that they no longer feel unusual. They are simply part of this place, part of your day, part of your rhythm. You continue forward. Your breathing remains slow, steady, in and out, in and out. There is a quiet understanding in your body now, a knowing without words. Soon you will begin, but not yet, not suddenly. There is always a moment before, a space between walking and working. You step into that space now, and for a brief time you stand still. Your body settles, your shoulders drop slightly, your hands hang loosely by your sides. No tensión, no anticipation, just stillness. The air is warmer now. The sun has risen further, casting a soft, growing heat across your skin. It is not harsh, not yet, just present. You take a slow breath in and let it go. Around you, others are arriving as well. Quietly, each person finding their place, without instruction, without noise. No one rushes, no one hesitates. Everything unfolds at its own pace. You begin to move again, a small shift forward, toward the stones, toward the work. Your steps are slower now, more deliberate. The rhythm changes, slightly. Step, pause, step. Your body adjusts without effort. You approach the first stone, large, rough beneath the surface, edges worn, but still solid. You don't think about its weight, not yet. You simply reach out and place your hands against it. The texture is cool, despite the rising sun. Grainy, uneven, real. Your fingers settle into small gaps, finding natural places to hold. You pause, not out of hesitation, but out of habit. There is always a moment before lifting, a quiet alignment. Your breath slows, in and out. Your body leans slightly forward. Your feet press firmly into the ground. You feel the connection from your hands, through your arms, into your shoulders, down through your legs, into the earth beneath you. Everything linked, everything ready. You inhale, and gently, you begin to lift. Not quickly, not forcefully, just a gradual increase, a slow gathering of effort. The stone resists at first, then slowly it moves, rising just enough. You don't rush it. There is no need. You have done this before, many times. Your body knows the pace. Your breathing deepens, slightly, in and out. The weight settles into your muscles, heavy, but familiar, not overwhelming, just present. You adjust your grip. Small movements, precise, practiced. Then you take a step, slowly, carefully. The ground holds steady beneath you. Step, pause, another breath, then another step. Step, pause. The rhythm begins. Simple, predictable. Step and breathe. Step and breathe. The world around you softens. Details fade. Sounds become distant. There is only this pattern, this movement, this repetition. You do not think about how far you will carry the stone. You do not measure the time. Those ideas feel unnecessary. They fall away before they can take shape. Step and breathe. Step and breathe. Your body moves as one. No part rushing ahead. No part falling behind. Everything working together, quietly, efficiently. The sun climbs higher. You feel its warmth growing, slowly, steadily, but it does not interrupt your rhythm. It becomes part of it. Another layer, another constant. Your breathing remains even. Your mind quieter now, less active, less restless. Thoughts appear, but they do not stay. They pass through unnoticed, like shadows. Step and breathe. The stone shifts slightly in your hands. You adjust without thinking. Your grip tightens, then relaxes. Small corrections, effortless, natural. You continue forward, not focusing on the end, not thinking about completion, only the next step, only the next breath. Step and breathe. Time begins to feel different, slower, wider, less defined.
Moments stretch gently.
Blending into one another. There is no clear beginning, no clear end, only continuation, only flow. Your body settles deeper into the rhythm. The weight, the movement, the breath, all merging into one steady pattern. And within that pattern, your mind grows quieter still, almost silent. The rhythm continues.
Unbroken, steady, familiar.
Step and breathe. Step and breathe. The weight in your hands no longer feels like something separate from you. It is not something you carry. It is something that exists with you, part of the movement, part of the pattern. Your arms hold it, your shoulders support it, your body adjusts without thought. There is no resistance, no questioning, only continuation. Step and breathe. The ground beneath your feet remains firm, reliable. Each step lands exactly where it needs to. There is no uncertainty.
No hesitation.
Just quiet precision. Around you, the world continues, but it feels distant now. Muted, softened. Other workers move. Stones shift. Footsteps press into the earth. But none of it pulls your attention. It is all part of the same background. The same steady hum. Your breathing deepens slightly. Not forced, not controlled. Just naturally expanding as your body settles further into its rhythm. In and out, in and out. Your chest rises, slowly, and falls just as gently. Your shoulders follow, lifting slightly, then releasing, everything moving together. Nothing out of place. The sun is higher now. You can feel its warmth clearly. It rests on your skin, spreads across your back, touches your arms, your neck, but even this becomes part of the rhythm. Not something separate, not something distracting, just another layer of sensation. Step and breathe, step and breathe. Time continues to soften.
Moments stretch.
Edges blur. There is no clear sense of how long you have been moving. No need to measure it. No need to track it. There is only now. Only this step. Only this breath. Your mind becomes quieter still. Thoughts no longer form completely. They begin and fade before they can take shape. There is nothing to hold on to. Nothing to follow. Only the steady repetition guiding you forward. Step and breathe. The weight shifts again. You adjust. Without effort, without awareness. Your hands tighten, then relax. Your arms reposition slightly. Your balance corrects itself. Everything happening on its own. Your body knows. It has learned this. Over time, through repetition, through countless days, just like this one. And now, it no longer asks for direction. Simply moves. Step and breathe. The path ahead is clear. Worn into the earth by many before you. You follow it without thinking, without choosing. There is comfort in that, a quiet ease in not needing to decide. Step and breathe, the sound of your footsteps becomes softer in your awareness, almost distant, like something happening far away. Your breathing too, slow, steady, blending into the background. Everything merges, movement, breath, sensation, becoming one continuous flow. There is no separation,
No boundaries.
only rhythm, only repetition, only presence. Step and breathe. Your body feels lighter in a strange way, not because the weight has changed, but because your mind no longer resists it. There is no tension around it, no story attached to it. It is simply there, and you are simply here, carrying it, moving with it. Step and breathe. The sun continues its slow rise. You feel the warmth more fully now, presses gently against your skin, but still, it does not disturb you. It is constant, predictable, like everything else. And that predictability becomes calming. There are no surprises here. Nothing sudden, nothing sharp, only slow change, unfolding over time. Step and breathe. Your steps begin to feel even more automatic, less deliberate, more natural, as if your body is moving on its own, without needing your attention. You are aware, but not focused, present, but not thinking. Step and breathe. A quiet stillness settles deeper inside you, not just in your body, but in your mind. A kind of emptiness, but not in a negative way. A calm, open space where nothing needs to exist, nothing needs to happen. You continue forward, without effort, without resistance, without thought. Step and breathe, and somewhere within this endless rhythm, you begin to feel something else. Not a thought, not a feeling exactly, just a faint sense of letting go, of releasing everything that isn't this moment, everything that isn't this movement, everything that isn't this breath. Step and breathe, and the more you continue, the deeper that feeling becomes. Gentle, quiet, unforced, like sinking slowly into still water, held, supported, completely at ease. Step and breathe. There is nothing to do, nothing to change, nothing to become. Only this, only now, only the rhythm continuing exactly as it always has. Step and breathe, step and breathe. The rhythm no longer feels like something you are doing. It feels like something that is happening through you. Your body moves, but there is no sense of effort behind it.
No instruction.
No decision, only continuation. The stone you carry has become familiar in your hands. Not lighter, but known. Its shape, its weight, its presence, all of it has been absorbed into your awareness to the point where it no longer stands out. It is simply part of the moment. Step and breathe. The ground beneath you remains steady. Each step lands with quiet certainty. No adjustments needed.
No hesitation.
Just contact and release, contact and release, a repeating pattern that asks nothing from you. The world around you continues its movement, but it does not reach you fully anymore. Passes by, like something seen from a distance, softened, muted, almost unreal. Step and breathe. Your breathing has settled into something deeper now, slower, heavier in the chest, but calm, not controlled, not directed, just happening, in and out, in and out. There is no awareness of counting anymore, no sense of beginning or end to the breath, only the continuous flow of it, like the tide of something far away. Your thoughts have become rare, and when they appear, they do not last long enough to form meaning. They dissolve, almost immediately, into the rhythm you are in. Step and breathe. The sun is higher now. You can feel its presence across your entire body. Warmth on your shoulders, warmth on your arms, warmth on the back of your neck. But even this warmth does not interrupt you. It is absorbed into the same system as everything else. Just another layer of sensation within the same flow. Step and breathe. There is no longer any awareness of how long you have been moving. Time has stopped behaving like something measurable. It does not move forward clearly. It stretches, then compresses, then disappears entirely from focus. There is only sequence, only repetition, only the next step, and the next breath. Step and breathe. Your body continues to adapt without your attention. Small corrections, micro adjustments, balance maintained without thought, effort distributed evenly across muscle, breath, and motion. Everything working in quiet coordination. Nothing demanding focus, nothing breaking the flow. Step and breathe. The idea of work feels distant now. Not important, not urgent, just a concept that no longer fits the experience you are in. There is only movement, only repetition, only presence without resistance. Step and breathe. Even the sound around you has changed in your awareness. Footsteps still exist. Movement still happens, but it no longer enters you sharply. It fades at the edges, like waves reaching a shore and dissolving before they can be noticed. You are no longer inside noise. You are underneath it. Step and breathe. Your mind continues to soften, not becoming empty in a sudden way, but slowly releasing its grip, like something loosening over time, without force. There is less to hold, less to interpret, less to respond to, and in that reduction, there is space. Step and breathe. A wide, quiet space, where nothing is required, where nothing pulls you in different directions, where even awareness itself becomes gentle, passive, almost floating. Step and breathe. The movement continues, but it is no longer your movement in the way it once was. It is simply movement, existing on its own, and you are within it, not guiding it, not resisting it, just part of it. Step and breathe. The weight in your hands is still there, but it no longer defines anything. It is just another constant, like the ground, like the air, like the breath. Everything equalized into a single experience. Step and breathe. And as this continues, a deeper quiet begins to form, not outside, but inside. A stillness that does not depend on silence around you. A stillness that grows even within movement, even within effort, even within repetition. Step and breathe. There is no need to reach anywhere else. No need to finish anything. No need to understand anything beyond this moment, because this moment is already complete in itself. Step and breathe. And so you continue, without question, without urgency, without separation between you and the rhythm you are in. Just movement, continuing, exactly as it always has. Step and breathe. Step and breathe. The pattern no longer feels like something you are following. There is no sense of you choosing to continue. It is simply continuing, like it was never started, and therefore never needs to end. The stone in your hands remains present, but even present is starting to feel like the wrong word. It is not an object you carry anymore in awareness. It is just part of the balance of your body, part of the rhythm that keeps everything steady. Step and breathe. The ground under your feet feels unchanged, but your perception of it is different now. Not sharper, not duller, just less separated from you. Your feet meet the ground, and the ground answers without resistance. There is no difference in that exchange anymore. Only continuity. Step and breathe. The world around you still exists in motion. You can sense it. Other figures, other movements, other repetitions, but they no longer form a scene in your mind. There is no surroundings and self anymore, only a single field of movement. Step and breathe. Your breathing continues on its own, no longer observed, no longer adjusted. It is simply happening in the background of everything else. In and out, but even those words feel unnecessary now. More like echoes of something once noticed. Step and breathe. The sun has risen further. Its presence is steady, not growing dramatically, not changing suddenly, just slowly increasing its reach across everything. Warmth spreads evenly now, across skin, across fabric, across thought itself. But it does not interrupt anything. It blends. Step and breathe. Time continues to lose structure. There is no sense of earlier or later in any meaningful way. Only sequence without direction. One moment dissolving into the next without separation. If anything remains of time, it is only motion. Step and breathe. Your body continues its work without reference, without instruction, without awareness of effort. Muscles respond before thought could arrive. Balance corrects itself before imbalance is recognized. Everything happens slightly ahead of awareness, as if awareness is no longer leading anything. Step and breathe, and somewhere in this steady continuation, even the idea of carrying begins to dissolve. The weight is no longer experienced as weight. There is no opposition to it. No sense of heavy or light, only integration. Step and breathe. The repetition becomes deeper now. Not louder, not stronger, but more complete. Less broken by attention, less interrupted by thought. It fills the space entirely. Step and breathe. There is a point where effort no longer feels like effort, where doing and not doing are indistinguishable. You pass that point without noticing it. There is no threshold, no moment of crossing, only gradual disappearance of separation. Step and breathe. Your awareness expands, but in a quiet way, not outward, not inward, just less confined, less defined by edges, less anchored to a single point of focus. Step and breathe, and in that expanded stillness, everything becomes simpler, not in meaning, but in structure. No complexity to resolve, no direction to choose, no interpretation required. Step and breathe. You are still moving forward, but forward has lost importance. It is just continuation, just another repetition within the same rhythm. Step and breathe. The idea of finishing the day feels distant, not important enough to form a concern. Even the concept of later has softened. There is only what is happening now, and what is happening now is enough. Step and breathe. A deeper quiet settles again. Not a change in the environment, but a change in how everything is held in perception. Less grasping, less holding, more release. Step and breathe, and within that release, there is something close to rest. Not sleep, not unconsciousness, but a waking stillness, where movement continues without disturbance. Step and breathe. You continue, without needing to continue, without noticing continuation, without resistance to it. Step and breathe, and everything remains as it is, simple, unfolding, uninterrupted. As you continue forward, something subtle begins to change. Not in the world around you, but in how you are experiencing it. The movement is still there. The weight is still there. The rhythm is still there. But your awareness of them has softened. It is no longer centered on any single point. It is spread out gently, evenly, like a quiet field rather than a focused line. Your hands remain steady without effort. The stone does not feel new anymore. It does not feel heavy in a way that asks for attention. It simply exists within your grip, as if it belongs there. The ground beneath your feet continues to meet you with the same steady certainty. Each step is placed without hesitation, not because you are deciding where to step, but because your body already knows. There is no longer a sense of instruction between thought and movement, only response. Immediate, natural, unbroken. Around you, other figures continue their work. You notice them only in fragments. A shift of motion, passing shape. Nothing forms into a complete picture. And it does not need to. Even the idea of others begins to fade in importance. Everything is part of the same ongoing movement. The sun is higher now. Its warmth spreads across your body evenly. Not sharp, not changing, just present. It does not interrupt anything. It becomes part of the same continuity. Time feels less structured now. There is no sense of measuring how long you have been here. No internal counting of moments. Only the ongoing experience of motion without reference. Your breathing continues quietly in the background. It no longer draws attention to itself. It does not guide anything. It simply supports the movement without needing recognition. Occasionally, a thought begins to form, but it never fully arrives. It dissolves before it becomes language, before it becomes meaning, and because nothing holds onto those thoughts, they never gather weight. Everything remains light in a different sense now. Not physically, but mentally, unanchored. The repetition of movement continues, but even the word repetition starts to lose relevance. Each moment is complete on its own. There is no comparison to what came before, no anticipation of what comes next, only the present unfolding itself. You move forward through the space without resistance. There is no internal commentary anymore.
No evaluation.
No direction being mentally tracked. Just movement occurring within a very quiet awareness. And in that quietness, something stabilizes. Not sleep, not thoughtlessness, but a kind of still presence where nothing needs to be held. Everything is allowed to pass through without attachment. The body continues its task without interruption, not because it is being instructed, but because it has become the natural state of being in this moment. There is no separation between doing and being. They are the same thing here. The environment remains unchanged in structure. Stone, earth, light, movement, but your relationship to it has completely softened. Nothing presses against you anymore. Nothing demands attention. Everything simply exists, and you exist within it, without friction. As you continue forward, even the idea of progress becomes irrelevant. There is no arrival being aimed for in experience. Only continuation, only unfolding. And in that unfolding, the mind becomes quieter than it has been so far. Not forced, not induced, just naturally reduced to almost nothing that needs to be held. And still, you continue moving, without needing to define why, without needing to interpret how, just remaining within the flow that has already taken over everything else. The work continues without interruption. At some point, you stop noticing where one action ends and another begins. Not because the activity has become easier, but because your awareness has stopped dividing it into parts. Everything blends into a single continuous motion. Your hands remain on the material you work with, but even that sense of holding begins to soften. It is no longer an interaction you are consciously part of. It is simply contact that persists. The body adjusts itself constantly, but quietly. Small shifts in balance happen before they are noticed. Weight is distributed without intention. Nothing ever feels like it requires correction. It is already corrected in the moment it needs to be. Around you, the environment remains active in the same way it always has been. But your perception of it no longer organizes it into separate events. There is no foreground and background anymore. No focus and blur. Only a uniform field of ongoing movement. The sun continues its path across the sky, but even that no longer feels like something changing. It is just light at a different intensity. Not rising, not falling, simply existing in variation. Time loses even more definition here. It does not feel slow or fast. Those comparisons no longer apply. There is only continuity without reference points. Moments do not stack on top of each other. They dissolve into one another so completely that they cannot be separated anymore. You continue working, but the sense of work has become unnecessary to name. There is no internal labeling of effort, no mental distance between action and awareness. Everything happens in the same space, quietly, naturally, without interruption. Occasionally, your attention brushes against something external. A shift of light, a movement nearby, a change in sound. But none of it holds. It appears, and then it passes through without forming into anything stable. Like reflections on water that never settle long enough to become clear. Your breathing continues in the background, but even that background quality becomes less distinct over time. It is not something you are tracking anymore, not something you return to. It is simply part of the same ongoing system that everything else is part of. There is no separation between internal and external experience. The boundary that usually divides them has become indistinct. And in that indistinction, everything becomes simpler. Not simplified in meaning, but reduced in tension. Nothing pulls against anything else. Nothing requires alignment. Nothing resists. You continue forward through the task, but the idea of forward loses its directional meaning. There is only continuation, only presence unfolding in a stable, unchanging rhythm. Even thought itself becomes less frequent, and when it does appear, it does not attach itself to anything. It passes through quickly, without leaving a trace of narrative behind it. There is no longer a need to follow thoughts or respond to them. They are simply part of the same quiet field as everything else. As the cycle of movement continues, something subtle deepens again. Not a change in state, but a reduction in friction. Everything becomes easier without becoming lighter. There is no resistance anywhere in the system of experience. And because of that, even effort no longer feels like effort. It is just motion occurring within motion. You remain in this condition without noticing when it became stable. There was no transition into it, only a gradual loss of anything that was not it. And now, even that observation feels unnecessary to hold. So you let it go, and continue. ChatGPT. Continuing from here, the pattern of the day doesn't shift. It only sinks deeper into itself. The work has no beginning anymore when you look at it from inside the experience. You are already within it before any awareness of starting can form. The environment stays consistent. Stone, earth, light, movement. But none of these stand out as individual elements now. They merge into a single continuous presence that surrounds everything equally. Your body moves through this space with the same quiet reliability it has developed over time. There is no need to guide it, no need to monitor it. It simply responds to what is already happening. Not ahead of it, not behind it, but exactly within it. Each action flows into the next without any visible seam. There is no moment where one task ends and another begins. Only transition without separation. Even the idea of task begins to fade from relevance. What remains is just motion that sustains itself. Around you, the rhythm of others continues in the same way, but it no longer registers as individual activity. It becomes part of the same field you are inside. Not separate, not parallel, just shared continuity. The sun continues its slow movement across the sky. Its presence is steady now, not changing in a way that draws attention, only shifting in tone. A quiet passage of light that never interrupts anything. Time has almost completely lost structure at this point. There is no internal sense of duration, no awareness of how long anything has been happening. Only the feeling of uninterrupted continuation. Your breathing remains part of this background structure. It is no longer observed. It no longer anchors anything. It simply exists as part of the system that everything else also belongs to. Occasionally, a sensation will arise, heat, pressure, contact, but none of it develops into interpretation. It appears fully formed and dissolves just as quickly, without narrative, without weight. The mind remains quiet in a way that is not forced. There is no effort to silence it. There is simply nothing for it to attach to anymore, and so it becomes still on its own. Not empty, just unoccupied. The body continues its movements with increasing naturalness. There is no sense of correction or adjustment. Everything happens correctly the first time it happens, not because of control, but because there is no longer anything interfering with it. Even awareness itself feels distributed now, not located in a single point, not watching from a center, but spread evenly across the experience. So there is no observer standing apart from what is happening, only participation without separation. And within this state, something subtle settles further, a deeper layer of quiet that does not announce itself. It is not a shift you notice. It is something you realize only in hindsight, if at all, that it has already been there for some time. Nothing changes because of it. Everything simply continues in a more unified way, without friction, without contrast, without interruption. You remain within the movement of the day, not progressing through it, not stepping outside of it, just remaining inside its continuity as it unfolds on its own. And even that description begins to feel unnecessary, so it fades as well, leaving only the experience itself, unspoken, unmarked, unbroken. The rhythm that carries everything forward remains unchanged, but your awareness of it has become even less distinct. There is no longer any sense of following what is happening. There is only being within it. The work continues in the same steady form it has always taken. Stone, movement, contact, release. But none of these appear as separate actions anymore. They are simply phases within a single continuous motion. Your body moves through them without hesitation, not because you are directing it, but because there is no interruption between intention and action. They have collapsed into the same moment. There is no delay between thought and movement, and in many cases no thought at all, only response that appears already complete. The environment remains stable in structure, but unstable in attention. What once would have been noticed clearly now passes through without holding shape. Light shifts across surfaces. Shadows extend and soften. Air moves. People move. But none of it gathers into focus. It all exists at the same distance from awareness. Equal. Unseparated. The sun continues its slow arc across the sky. Its presence is no longer something you track. It is simply part of the background condition of everything. Like breath, like weight, like silence. Time continues to dissolve its remaining structure. There is no sense of progression anymore. Not even the feeling of being midway through anything. Only continuity without reference. Moments no longer accumulate. They do not build toward anything. Each one appears fully formed and disappears without leaving behind a trace that can be held. Your breathing remains steady in this field, but it is no longer a focus point. It does not stand out from anything else. It is just one of many continuous processes happening without interruption. At times, the body feels as though it is moving itself entirely, not in an automatic way that can be observed, but in a way where observation is no longer separate enough to exist. Everything is integrated into a single unfolding system. There is no distance between what is happening and the awareness of it. Because of this, even the idea of experience begins to fade. There is no one having it. There is only it. The repetition of movement continues, but repetition itself loses meaning when there is no contrast. Nothing breaks the flow. Nothing interrupts it, so nothing can be recognized as repeating. It is simply ongoing, without structure, without emphasis, without boundary. Occasionally, there is a subtle shift in sensation, temperature, pressure, sound, but none of these form into identifiable events. They remain raw and unprocessed, passing through awareness without becoming something separate from it. And in that unprocessed state, everything becomes extremely quiet. Not silent in the external sense, but quiet in the sense of not being interpreted, not being held, not being shaped into thought. The body continues its function with the same quiet precision it has developed throughout the day. No part of it stands out as needing attention. No part of it requires correction. Everything is already where it needs to be as it happens. And within that simplicity, there is no longer any tension between effort and rest. They are no longer distinguishable states. There is only continuity of action without resistance. Even the sense of identity that might have once observed this begins to thin, not disappearing abruptly, but becoming less necessary to maintain the structure of experience, until eventually it is no longer actively present in any meaningful way. What remains is movement without center, continuity without edge, awareness without separation, and everything continues exactly as it has been, without needing to be recognized as anything at all. The day no longer feels like something moving toward an end. That idea has almost completely lost its structure in your awareness. There is no internal sense of approaching anything, only continuation that does not point anywhere. The movement of the body remains steady, uninterrupted, but even steady feels like a description that belongs to a different kind of experience. Here, nothing needs describing. Everything is simply occurring. The stone, the ground, the air, the light, none of these stand apart in perception anymore. They form a single continuous field in which distinctions have softened to the point of near non-existence. Your hands remain in contact with what they need to be in contact with. There is no sense of initiating or completing that contact. It is already ongoing before it is noticed, and it continues after attention moves elsewhere, if attention moves at all, which becomes less frequent. The rhythm of movement persists, but it is no longer experienced as rhythm in the usual sense. There is no contrast between one moment and the next that would allow rhythm to be perceived as pattern. It is simply continuity without segmentation. The body moves through this continuity without interruption, not because it is being guided, not because it is being maintained, but because there is no separation left between movement and stillness. Both are the same underlying condition. The environment remains present, but its presence no longer divides itself into elements. There is no longer what is around and what is here, only a shared field in which everything exists equally without emphasis. Light continues its slow shift across the space, but even change no longer feels like change. It is only variation within the same unbroken presence. Time has fully dissolved its remaining edges. There is no longer any sense of duration at all, not even a vague awareness of passing, only unfolding without reference. The mind remains quiet not through effort, but through lack of requirement. There is nothing for it to process, nothing for it to interpret, nothing for it to hold. So it does not form. It does not intervene. It simply does not arise in a way that separates itself from the rest of experience. Even sensation loses its tendency to become noted. Heat, weight, texture, sound, all exist, but none become events. They remain as they are without transformation into thought. And because nothing is being transformed, nothing accumulates. Everything stays light in the most literal sense of not being carried forward mentally. The body continues to function with complete integration. There is no longer a sense of parts working together. Only one unified process in motion. No coordination is felt because coordination implies separation. And here, there is no separation to coordinate. Only continuity that organizes itself without observation. Occasionally, there is a faint awareness of awareness itself. But even that does not stabilize into something separate. It dissolves immediately back into the same field it arose from, without trace, without remainder, and so the experience continues without interruption, without framing, without center. Not moving toward anything, not away from anything, simply existing as continuous unfolding that does not require recognition to persist. The sense of direction has almost completely vanished. Not in the physical movement of the body, which continues with the same steady continuity as before, but in the internal structure that once gave meaning to direction at all. There is no longer toward or away, only continuation, only unfolding without reference points. The work persists in its form, yet even calling it work feels unnecessary now. There is no internal separation between effort and non-effort, no boundary between action and stillness. Everything exists as one uninterrupted condition. Your hands remain engaged in contact with the material, but that description already implies a separation that is no longer felt. There is no experience of holding something, only a sustained state where contact is continuously present. The ground beneath you continues to support movement, but support implies distinction, and distinction has thinned to near absence. Everything simply coexists without hierarchy. Light continues to shift across the environment, but it does not register as change in the usual sense. There is no contrast being formed in perception strong enough to define before and after. Only variation within the same constant presence. The body continues its patterns without interruption. Not because those patterns are maintained consciously, but because there is nothing within awareness that would disrupt them. Everything functions without resistance, and because there is no resistance, nothing needs to be managed. Even breathing, which once might have been noticed, no longer presents itself as a distinct process. It is simply part of the total continuity of being, neither foreground nor background, just included without separation. Time, which had already lost structure earlier, now no longer even feels absent. It simply does not arise as a concept that can attach itself to experience. There is only what is happening without framing. Occasionally, there is an almost imperceptible shift in attention, but it does not become attention in any stable sense. It appears and dissolves within the same instant, without leaving behind a center from which it originated. There is no accumulation of moments, no sequence being held, no narrative forming beneath the surface. Everything remains unthreaded, unconnected, yet completely continuous. The sense of self, which might once have served as a reference point for experience, is no longer required for anything that is happening. Not because it has been removed, but because nothing calls for its presence. And without demand, it does not form. What remains is experience without ownership, movement without observer, continuity without segmentation. And even these descriptions begin to feel like they are pointing at something that is already too simple to require pointing at all. So they fade. And what remains does not need to be described further. It only continues,